Just like that. We're live. We're live.
It's magic.
There we go. Hello, everyone. I'm so happy that you're here. We are here today as per the banner that worked in LinkedIn. Thank you so much, with the amazing Jack Kelly.
Amazing.
I'm sure everyone knows Jack Kelly. Jack Kelly's like the neighborhood LinkedIn guy. He's also, in case any of you don't know, one of the senior contributors over at Forbes. His column and articles are the go-to resource for many topics, including future of work, which is one of the reasons why he's here today. And he's also the CEO of We Recruiter. And welcome, Jack. So happy that you're here to kind of do a little set us straight today, because as we were talking prior to the show, we're talking today about what I've been calling Helta Delta. And I don't mean it as like, oh no, like, let's freak out. I mean it more in the spirit of Helta Delta. Like, what are we gonna do about this? Because the truth is, we've all been, of course, living through so much of the post-pandemic life, and having a summer, having some semblance of, life as maybe many of us knew it and appreciate it. So my first question to you with this is, tell us a little bit about the current state of affairs as far as where we as employees and employers should be embracing the markers of Delta. What is today's most recent developments that we need to know to move forward, whether you are an employee, whether you are somebody in the job market or an employer?
Well, first, thanks for having me here. I really appreciate it. I love your LinkedIn Lives. I love the energy you bring to it and your enthusiasm. So I'm really happy to be here. And to answer your question, it's so fluid, but I think it's funny, with pandemic time, you lose track of days. Seriously, like I think it was Monday where the FDA, or Tuesday, I seriously can't remember which day, approved the Pfizer vaccine. And in a way, I think that's a game changer. And the reason is this: we all see, we're kind of almost, in this country, we're always arguing. There's like two camps. If one says it's sunny out, the other says it's raining out. And the same thing goes with the vaccines, the masks. We're all each other's throats. So with companies, they were having a big problem. What do we do? If we say everybody has to wear a mask, everyone has to wear a get their vaccines, everyone has to get tested, you're going to alienate a large portion of your employee base. So you get this uncomfortable, awkward, not knowing what to do. So what I contend now with the FDA approving Pfizer, it looks like they're going to approve the other stuff too. It makes the companies now say, you know what? We're off the hook. We don't have to be the bad mom or dad saying you have to do this or that. You can now point to the FDA and say, hey, it's been approved. So since it's approved, why not get your vaccines, put on the mask, do everything. This is what you have to do. So that's that one part. And from there, Lauren, then you got to figure out how this is going to play out. Because on one level, to be optimistic by doing this, and by the way, just in full disclosure, I'm vaxxed, my kids, my wife, not my dogs and cats, but everyone else is. But that being said, there's a little fear of too much policing by the government, by the companies. So there's a little worry about that. But I could see where the companies are going to start saying to people, all right, instead of working remote, you have to come back because everything is good. You have to take your vaccinations. So I could kind of see these things start to change in terms of direction, because it gives a green light for them, for the companies and municipalities, for teachers, for firemen, for whatever, to start getting vaccinated.
So the idea here is, okay, now that we've got like the FDA seal of approval, right? This is all good, and nobody has to take the heat.
Exactly.
No company, no manager, And what does that mean for you if you are a job seeker, right? What does that mean? Like, do you promote yourself and say, hey, I'm okay, I'm comfortable going on site because you guys are, taking care of business on your end? Or does it give you permission to say, you know what, I, as a job seeker, really appreciate that you're doing all that you can, and I'm still going to make my own choice about whether or not I am feeling like that's enough for me. So I know that it's such a loaded question because there's so many factors involved with that. But what would you say to people that you're counseling who are job seekers and looking to work at many financial institutions, which are kind of the most conservative and requiring people to be on site?
Yeah. So the first thing I would say is this, and I'll preface it, everyone has their own risk tolerance and threshold of what they feel comfortable with. So I don't want to give just one blanket statement because everyone's going to be different. But that being said, I would suggest, first thing, tune out all the noise, because it's always been this way, but I think it's been really hyped up during the pandemic, where on social media and the mass media, it's just doom, gloom, fear, panic, and that's not healthy. And if you just focus on that, you want to curl up in a ball and do nothing. So if you're looking for a job or you want to advance your career, you have to just block out all the noise. We've been in this country through lots of different challenges, lots of different problems, and we keep moving forward, and I'm confident we will. So you don't want to just put off something that's going to benefit your life and your career. So don't get discouraged. Don't let each day's craziness get to you. Just keep moving forward with your game plan. And in fact, I would suggest this too, Lauren, and for the people watching, is that when a lot of people are going to pull out of looking for a job, and that happens, I'll tell you as a recruiter, it's really hard to find candidates because they're worried and afraid. So the more people who pull out, if you're in the market, you're going to stand out, because it's attrition. All right, these people all like getting out of the job market, then you're in. So that when it comes to interviewing, they're not going to have a lot of candidates. So you have a better chance to find a job. So in a weird, ironic way, if you're looking and you stay the course and you keep moving forward, you're going to have a way better chance of getting a job. So I would keep doing that.
Right. So I put a little banner here to zag while others are zigging, right? Yeah. It's very easy. I've been seeing it in the marketplace. People are still at the end of the summer, and they're not thinking, about their job search, because everybody's still kind of milking those last days of the season, which makes perfect sense. However, the marketplace doesn't respond just when, we want to snap our fingers. So if you are somebody who is seeking a new position for whatever reasons, now is a good time. Now is a really good time when the barriers are a little bit lower, and also to get the footwork in. But I think what you're also saying is, don't buy into a lot of the noise and the fear that is an easy excuse to not go ahead and pursue what it is that you're looking for. Is that correct?
Exactly. I like how you say easy excuse, because that's really what it is. Because we all look for excuses. I want to work out and go to the gym. Well, it's raining out. I don't want to go now. We all find excuses to validate why we're not doing something. So yeah, you want to put the excuses aside. And hey, listen, it's not easy. I fall to this too. You read something, you're like, oh my God, this is really bad. We all fall to that, and it's very hard to recover. And it takes a really strong constitution to say, okay, this is not the end of the world. It's not great, but it's not the end of the world. We're going to move forward. We're going to make it happen. So yeah. And with the summer, historically, summer is usually always slow because people are on vacation. And pandemic summer, I think, slower now because people just want to get the heck out of their homes and just do something different. So the people who are away, once again, you zig while everyone's zagging, or zagging while everyone's zigging. So
either way,
you have a bet, like Laura said, this way you have a better chance because you stand out. But then once you hit into September, in my experience, usually there's a flow of when hiring goes. September, even though we're all adults and we're in the workforce, it's that back to school mentality. So once September hits, it just clicks in like, okay, summer's over. I got to get serious about my career. Let me update my resume. Let me get in touch with a career coach. Let me get a resume writer. Let me find a recruiter. Let me start searching. That's just the mentality. It's like, okay. And then you do that. And then once you get to like December, you get Christmas, Hanukkah, the New Year, then you kind of stop again and then it starts again. So it's
Right.
really wild where you watch, and
Reality, right?
for 25 years, I've seen this, Lauren. It's just the same patterns all the time, all the time.
So right. So, don't let the fear get in your way.
Yes.
It's very easy to cop to that. We're all guilty, myself included, but pepper it, right? Hear it and then make a decision, and don't let that stop you from your bigger goals, right?
Absolutely.
So let's talk about like being that employee or that job seeker, and you are essentially like, no matter what, no matter how much the company is going to do to vaccinate and mandate this and do that, what if you're just like, listen, my threshold is I'm not going in, right? What do you do that then? How do you, as the employee, make a stand without making an enemy? Right? You're not like in a war with your employer or any future employer. So what is the line that you can toe so that you can do right by yourself and protect you and your family, and at the same time deliver for your employee?
I'm a big fan of being of polite persistence. And what I mean by that is, as a recruiter, to follow up and do that. But if you're too pushy, too annoying, it just backfires. So then if you're an employee, and let's say, Lauren, you're my boss, and, I would try to find a way to rationally explain why I feel it makes sense that I should work remotely. Because if I go to you and say, I want to work remotely, and if you don't, I'm going to quit, it's not going to really work out.
It's not going to work well.
You know what? We hear about the great resignation, and I'm very sus about that. I mean, yeah, it's happening, but I don't really see that in the white collar, mid to senior level professionals. I see it more in hospitality, restaurants, bars where, yeah, I could quit this bar because there's 10 other bars in town and I can get a job really easily. So if I'm not happy, I'll move. But with the white collar, not so much. So you don't want to go into your boss and say, hey, Lauren, if you don't let me work remote, I quit. Because then you put her in a really bad spot, because no one likes to be, backed into a corner.
Right.
Instead, you really want to say, hey, I don't, whether this, let's say for the conversation, this is true. Hey, so I have, people who are at risk at home, and I feel if I go into the office, I have an hour commute through mass transit. I have to go to New York, crowded streets, not a pleasant place lately, be in an office, go out for lunch, be surrounded by people, get back on a train or a bus surrounded by people, and I can give it to somebody, and I really don't feel comfortable. And personally, hey, I would like to be in the office, but I feel there's too much risk. So I would ask you, Lauren, if I could work remote, I think that I'd be very productive. And if you've seen over the last year and a half, I've been working really hard. I've met and exceeded expectations. I'll continue to do so. And I know because of the FDA approval, you're starting to ask people to come back. I really respectfully say, if you could understand that I'm concerned about the people in my family, and if I could work home, I promise you I'll work really well and really hard, and I'll make you proud, and I'll make you, really feel good about the decision by giving me that chance. So that if you give it and explain to the boss in a very sincere way, if you have your reasons mapped out, you don't threaten, you don't push, you don't stamp your feet, you just give it that. And then I think it's going to be hard for them bosses to say, nope, you got to come back. Could they? Yes. But I think if you kind of really walk someone through it, you have a better chance of getting what you want.
That's great. So, approach it with a level of decorum, right?
Yes.
No threats, no ultimatums.
Yes.
Make it very plain and clear. But I think that what you're also saying is come from a place of reason and facts. Your productivity has increased by X. Your completion of XYZ project, build a real case instead of making it all about, you and your health reasons and your family, of course, huge reasons why. But I think you also have to balance that with what you are doing as the employee, or even, if you're starting off in a new company And the policy is, let's just say, oh, I had a client yesterday that landed an amazing opportunity. Amazing. And so, she is somebody who has health risks. And she did at her offer stage bring this up and say, I'm willing to do this. Does that work with your culture? And they were very fine with it. So when would you suggest that somebody bring up their preferences if they are in the process of looking for a new job and all of that? Should that happen early? Should it happen in the middle of the process, or should it happen closer to the end?
Yeah. Well, first I want to say, I love how you concisely put together my rantings, and you make it sound very, you're able to articulate much better than I am, where I give these rambling rants and you just kind of put it together nice and crisply. I love that. That's awesome. So that works out really well. It's a good combination, right? You're able to sum it up and make it so nice and clean it up. So that's perfect. I would do that right from the beginning. I think, one of the challenges I see with the job search is that you don't really know the salary a lot of times when you go in. You're really not sure the title. You're not sure of a lot of things. And then you go through the whole process. And at the end, you realize the title's not what you wanted. The money's not where you wanted. So I would suggest right at the beginning, to the best you can, you want to lay out, hey, here are the parameters. I want to work a hybrid 2 or 3 day a week. Because some people, like for instance, I would probably prefer a hybrid, 2 or 3 days in the office, just to mix it up. So let's say, hey, I would prefer a hybrid, and I'd like to have, 3 days in, 2 days out. I'm looking for a VP title. My salary range is X to Y. And this way you lay it out so you're not wasting anyone's time. And there are new law, not so new anymore, where they say, hey, you can't, in a lot of states, you can't ask how much somebody is earning. And even states that do allow you, a lot of the companies say, hey, we don't want that. We don't feel comfortable with it. And that's very helpful for job seekers, because now, instead, it used to be, I would say, hey, Lauren, what are you earning? And then you're prisoner to maybe a 10, 15% bump up from where you are now. Instead, now you can say, hey, Lauren, what would you like to earn? What were you looking to make? And then you can give a number. And as a recruiter, I could go to the company and say, hey, Lauren is looking for, 220 on the base plus bonus plus stock options. She's looking for a VP title and, looking for a hybrid situation. And then it makes it easy, because either A, they say, okay, great, let's interview her. And then, all right, this is, they're open. Now, does it mean they're going to pay everything and do everything? Maybe, maybe not, but at least they go in, they know your cards and they know what you want. Or they may say, no, thank you. And you just saved yourself some time. They go, nah, you know what? This job's only really paying 1.25. Even though I guess the job description made it look senior, it's not that senior. And now you just saved yourself, 3 to 6 months of interviewing just to find that out at the end. So yeah, I'm a big proponent right at the gate, right at the beginning. You want to map out, not only your preference for remote work, hybrid work in office, but salary, title, bonuses, anything else that's important to you. So this way, when you go through the process, you're on the same page and you don't get disappointed at the end.
I like that a lot, right? And I also I like being transparent early. Mm-hmm. I know that a lot of people are just like, oh, I just want the offer and then I'm going to go, right? And I'm not saying that is not a decent strategy, but I think you will earn a lot more trust and also really have your own sense of integrity when you are voicing that earlier on in the process, because then there's no mystery. And then you've really allowed that process to happen free and clear. And there's no surprises at the end where people can easily brew a resentment or 5. So I think that's really a great strategy early. And I also appreciate this comment from Sweta really saying, hey, you know what? Meet the productivity before making the ask. So I'm going to sum this up too and say, make some legs to stand on, right? Don't start asking for the moon and the stars. First, build your equity, build your relationships, build the trust, and then you have even greater reason why to ask for what it is that you want and need. So I thank you, Sweta, for that. And then I'm also going to put this out here too, from our dear friend St. Lee. Exactly. Both sides need to provide full disclosure of expectations, clearly knowing what the non-negotiables are. So if working on site is a non-negotiable for you, then, man up, woman up, and say so. Right? If that's really a deal breaker, then that's cool. And then just own it and do it. Right? Just speak for it. And so, what should people be doing to keep tabs of the latest and greatest, aside from reading your articles and following you? Because it is, I've talked on many occasions about the circus that's going on in the marketplace right now. All these different things, literally. This one is the ringleader right now, Great Resignation. This one is over here in the side circle, which is hybrid and remote. Oh, and then we have, Helta Delta in the middle of all this. So how do people stay informed in the most non-biased way so that they are able to flesh out all of the confusion of the circus of the marketplace? Where should they go?
That's a really good question. So number one, I would suggest, as kind of we talked about before, is tune out all the noise, because there's so much noise. And you got to keep in mind, the media, no matter where it is, social media, TV, what have you, cable news, they're in the business of getting you to watch so you're average, so they can get advertisers. And if the media just says, you know what, guys, audience, don't worry. It's, we'll get through this. Everything will be fine. No one's going to tune in the next day. They want to hear what's the next drama, what's the next thing. They get addicted to it. So avoid that at all costs. If you're going online, you don't want to start arguing with people about mass vaccines. Just stay with your program of what you want to do next. So the first thing is just block everything out. Then I'll just tell you what I do. I like reading, listening, watching to every side of the coin. Like, I'm not the kind of person who, hey, here's my tribe, I'm just going to be on this side, right, left, whatever. I like hearing from all sides, so just I can filter it and get a sense what everybody is thinking. And then what happens if you hear, this is what MSNBC is saying, and this is what Fox is saying, and this is what CNN and so forth. After a while, you kind of figure out, where's the reality in between?
Okay, I'm going to raise my hand.
Yeah,
I'm confused. You just told me to remove the noise.
Yeah.
And now I'm listening to more noise. So help me out here. Like, what should I avoid and what should I take in?
I guess, I guess when I say noise, let me use a more precise term, not to fall victim to the fear mongering. I think that's a better way of putting it. Not so much the noise, but the fear mongering, because they're good at it. They're really good at getting you scared and afraid and worried and panicked. So this way you keep, reading the newspapers, you keep watching the television shows, the cable news shows. So that's kind of what I meant more by that. But then by not just being in your own echo chamber, and a lot of times people, you're friends with have the same outlooks, the same mindset, the same thoughts, and you just repeat each other, and you really don't know what others are thinking. So I think to see what's out there, you kind of get a taste of everything. And then, I think it's healthy to understand what everybody's thinking, what they're doing. So then you can make your own informed decision. Hey, what's right, what's wrong? Because you might find, hey, let's say I'm very liberal, but you know what? This person who's saying this, who's very conservative, it kind of makes sense to me. And just because they're conservative, I'm not going to just say that's bad, and vice versa. So this way, you're not siloing yourself. You're opening yourself to all sorts of ideas, and then it's okay to disagree with it, but at least you know what's going on, if that makes sense.
Yes. And I think that the thing that really is the overarching takeaway for this is, honestly, no matter what, stay in a solution, right? Stay in the solution of what it is that you're looking for, because you'll find an easy out in any of those cases, right? If the news is saying, oh my God, you should never do this, you should never do that, that's it. You can easily rely on that. So make sure that you're getting a good cross section of multiple resources, news, trusted resources, right? That's not your neighbor. God, I mean, that is not, necessarily your in-laws. So use the resources, the people that are closest to the data, the people that are overseeing this on a regular basis. I am a huge reader of your work. And the reason why is because, I love Unfiltered. And so you're going to give it to us straight.
Yeah.
And I think that it's important to also, continue to watch for people. It's easy on LinkedIn, right? We're talking about this stuff all day long. And if you are a job seeker and you have questions, or an employee or an employer, please, sorry, I'm just going to call it out there. Enough with the lazy lurkers, right? Get into the middle of the conversation and ask those questions so that we have enough information that you're curious about to start digging at it, so that we can provide you with more information should you want and need it. So I know that it's very difficult for a lot of people to actually, get into the comments, but the comments are critical in helping any of us on the flip side do a better job of meeting your needs. So, let us know what that is. Also, I want to just tap into some of the comments here at the end of this conversation. Just lastly, please, Jack, tell us where and how we should be approaching. I know we've talked about some of this, but September, right? Let's get into what's happening in the next week or two, right? As Labor Day comes around, people are back to school. Let's pretend, you're a job seeker. Let's pretend, you are getting rid of the summer cobwebs and going back to work. Where should your mindset be in terms of the labor market, whether you are a hiring manager building your team, or on the flip side, somebody who is looking to be most employable? What should you be doing now?
I'd start right now. I would have, if we had this, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I would say start it now then. But today is a good day to start, right? So if you haven't started now, we have 2 weeks left to August, and
6 days.
Really? Oh my God! So it shows how I'm losing track of time.
Sorry.
I would do this. Right now. We have a week left. Most people are taking that last week off and just understandably going to the beach, taking it easy, what have you. Don't. You want to start, hey, I'm getting my game plan now, and I'm starting, whether you're hiring or whether you're looking for a job, because there can be less, as we talked about, less people out there. So you can make more of an impact. You'll get noticed. However, probably nothing, it may not happen right away. So don't get discouraged. So let's say, well, Jack said, I should go out there and send my resume. Nothing's happened. He's an idiot. Well, you're not wrong. But I would say this is that you're planting the seeds. So a lot of times what happens, you're going to put a lot of work in, but you're not going to see results, which is really frustrating, but you can't give up. It's like,
they're all growing underneath the ground.
Exactly. It's like you go to the gym 3 times and you're like, well, I don't have muscles now. This is dumb. I'm not going to go back to the gym. No, it doesn't work that way. It takes time and effort. Sometimes people luck out, because you always hear stories. And I see this personally. You could have somebody just right place, right time, boom, gets a job, and wow, that was easy. And you can have someone who's way better, smarter, better credentials. It's taking 6 months to find a job. Sometimes it's the luck of the draw, but you have to start, put the groundwork in, put the seeds, and don't get discouraged if you don't hear right back, because it's going to take a while. And because particularly in this environment where there's so many different twists and turns, it makes it, and here's something you should really know, guys, is that in my experience, what happens when companies hire, when they're confident, when they're upbeat about the future, because they feel things are good, so let's hire and let's be competitive, let's get people on board. Conversely, if there's fear, there's uncertainty, it's easy to just stop hiring, put on hiring freeze, even downsizings. So you keep getting this vacillation back and forth. And what you have to do is kind of mentally know this is going to happen, and that's okay, but you're going to keep going and moving and going forward. And that's it. Same thing with hiring managers. You've got to still keep recruiting and looking for people, because even if they say, hey, Lauren, we can't hire right at this moment, but even if you do, now you have a list of people. So when you're ready to get the green light, You don't have to start
Right.
from scratch. You already have your folks. So I would do this going into September really strong. And one last point is this, hopefully optimistically, and I'll preface this, like, I'm not a big fan of big government getting in our business, but maybe with the FDA approval, it's going to make everyone chill out a little bit. Yeah, everyone who's worried about the unvaccinated can say, all right, everyone's going to kind of get vaccinated. People who are a little leery to get vaccinated will get vaccinated. So that maybe calm things down. And if it kind of brings down the temperature, we can go back to some sort of new type of normal where, okay, the wheels are moving. Because if you think about it, job market is good. There's last I saw is for the JOLTS report, 10 million jobs out there. That's a lot of jobs. Stock market record high, real estate record high. So things are looking pretty good. The economy is looking pretty good. So, when you look at all these different benchmarks, real estate positive, stock market positive, lots of jobs opening positive. So we dwell on the negatives, but there's a lot of good things out there. So you want to take advantage of it and you want to just keep moving forward.
Right. So strike while the iron is hot.
Absolutely. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And don't let these other things get in the way. And if you are a job seeker, again, the marketplace isn't waiting for you, right? So you are in your best footing by taking action sooner rather than later. I just cannot stress this enough. I'm sure people say this to you all the time. I wish I had started this so much earlier, right? So now start today,
Absolutely.
start now, and you will always be one step ahead, and the competition is real. 10 million jobs, that's no joke, right? I mean, there's a lot that is going on right now. If you have any further questions, please reach out to me or Jack Kelly. We'd love to hear from you. And Jack, you're like, I'm such a big fan.
Oh, thank you. Same here.
And by the way, Jack is taking this live from his hotel room, celebrating his daughter Emma's birthday. Happy birthday, Emma! And he's off in Philly, but lives don't wait. So thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on. This is great.
And really appreciate all of the work that you're doing, both on LinkedIn and, of course, in Forbes.
Well, thank you so much.
Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Thanks a million.
Thank you. Bye-bye.